Well, good evening. I don't even know when it is. It's the 10th of July, 2019. It is Journal 105, which means that it's T+99. So that means it has to be Wednesday. Glad I figured that out. I've spoken a lot. If you've been following, you know I've talked a lot about anticipation of going to lunch yesterday in an actual honest to God restaurant that's outside the campus of City of Hope, and it was a wonderful lunch. It was just as delightful lunch as I mentioned yesterday. It was really exciting. But in a conversation I had with Ryan, our son, something came up and really changed the entire direction of what I was going to talk about, because he asked me about lunch, and in the moment, without thinking, I shared with him the level of anxiety that I experienced when we sat down. Now, the restaurant's a favorite restaurant of our doctors. It's in Pasadena. It was excellent. I really highly recommend it. It's a place called Kathleen's, and they were incredibly accommodating. They put us in a corner of the room, in a back room that they don't really use unless it gets really busy, and they were very much aware of the constraints that most transplant patients seem to have. And really haven't shared this with anybody except Ryan up until right now, not even Leslie, to tell you the truth. And that is that as I was sitting there and I was confronted with the menu. Um, Now you have to understand that my anxiety was actually high to begin with, because I took my mask off for a couple of minutes because there was nobody else in the room. And I recognize, of course, that you have to take the mask off to eat. So um, at least I haven't gotten that loony yet. And and I started to read the menu, and there were certain things that I'm not allowed to have anyway, and I know I'm not allowed to have them. Right now I'm on a dairy restriction, so I'm not going to have anything with cream sauces or sour cream or dairy products in it. No cheese, stuff like that. But I mean, there were other things there that I could have. I could have ordered a steak. I could have ordered, as long as it was well done. I could have ordered a hamburger as long as it was well done. Could have ordered grilled chicken. I could have ordered a lot of things, and and I found myself actually sitting there analyzing the menu, something that I don't remember ever having done in my. I mean, Leslie will tell you it drives her nuts. I'm the person that will walk into a restaurant, look at a menu, see something that I like, never finish reading the description. Um, can't tell you how many times I have been confronted with something that I ordered where I didn't realize it had something really exotic or something really bizarre or something that I know I don't like, or didn't like before the transplant, because who the hell knows what I like anymore. Um, and just gutted it out, and ate what was ever in front of me. And Leslie could always tell by the look on my face that that I'd done it again. But this time I was analyzing the menu for entirely different reasons. I was terrified. I mean, literally terrified, about making the wrong choice, or about having it prepared the wrong way, or taking a chance on, bacteria, or and I've never been a germaphobe in my life, but under the circumstances, I'm forced to do that. I won't get the first of my childhood inoculations for 6 months. Now I don't know if it's 6 months from you know transplant zero, or +1, which would take me into October, or it's 6 months from the 100 days, which would add exponentially more time to it. But I still have a problem with being immunocompromised, 100% immunocompromised. So these thoughts are very real. And to hide my anxiety right about that time, and this was a very large room. All of a sudden, a number of other folks were brought into the room, and diagonal at opposite corner of where we were, and there had to be, maybe a dozen or more tables in between us. So there was there was no chance of cross contamination. Um, there didn't seem to be, but I was still terrified of what to order. And instead of ordering all the things that I could have ordered that I've been dreaming about for uh, for weeks, if not months, to break the constraints of the diet I'm on, I ordered fish and chips. Now I like fish and chips. I've always liked fish and chips. So it wasn't really a hardship ordering something that I used to really love to eat. But the reason I ordered the fish and chips was what's odd and what's interesting and noteworthy, I suppose. And that is because it's deep fried. I don't know what the temperature of a deep fryer is, but it doesn't seem to me like there's any kind of bacteria or viral substance that could live at the bottom of a deep fryer. Um, and my hope was that if I ate that, then any chance of any bacteria or secondary infections or viruses was pretty well knocked out of the box. And it surprised me, the way I reacted to that, recognizing, all of a sudden all of the restrictions that have been so easy to manage here close to the hospital and the crutch that the hospital provides, knowing that if God forbid anything happened, I'm 15 minutes away and they would be on it like white on rice. I mean, they would be on it instantly because I've been to the evaluation treatment center before and it was the best workup I've ever had. But how do you deal with the what ifs? I mean, how do you deal with a world that's filled with bacteria and viruses that most people in the world don't even think about anymore because their immune systems are working? I mean, I just took, I had to go downstairs and pick up one of the luggage carts to bring up here to put some stuff in the car. Um, and I brought a wipe with me. I got back into the room and I washed my hands. If I had been thinking, I would have put on gloves, but I don't know where I packed the gloves, so I can't. I couldn't find it. It would take me longer to find them than it did to go downstairs and do whatever I had to do. Um, I won't know how successful we are until I receive the bone marrow biopsy on Friday morning, and I won't know then until at least a week to 2 weeks later when the results of the biopsy start to come in. Even when we get home, and even with you know recognizing that we can go out to restaurants, um, if they're clean, if they're A-rated, if I order intelligently, um, still brings with it a fair amount of anxiety, and quite honestly, that anxiety doesn't take much to translate that anxiety into fear. Um, and the question then becomes, how do you manage the fear? Do you let it paralyze you? Do you let it feed your neuroses or feed your compulsion? Or do you manage it as intelligently as you can, recognizing that It's just a fact of your reality. It's just a component of your reality that you have to deal with, and that you're going to do the best. Like everything else that's happened so far, everything else that's happened since February 14th, 2014, when you were diagnosed with the results of the first bone marrow biopsy. Um, you do whatever you have to do to survive and succeed. And it's a battle between you and the fear, you and the lizard, you and the resistance, you and the lizard brain. Um, and you can't capitulate. You can't give in. Um, you can embrace it. You can recognize it. You can see it for what it is. You can understand deeply how it's trying to paralyze you. But in the end, you have to overcome it. You have no choice. It's either that or pull the covers over your head. And if I didn't do that February 15th, 2014, I'm not going to do it now, not when I'm on the upswing of getting better. So I think there's some wisdom there for, looking at whatever it is that you have to confront, um, and making it work. So more stuff to think about, like you don't have enough. Um, until tomorrow, stay well and take care. Uh, I'll be I'll be doing my T+100 podcast, journal number 106. Um, Friday, I can't promise you that I'm going to go ahead and post a blog post on Friday, although I'm going to try. Um, I just don't know how realistic that is, with everything that we have to do once we get home and the bone marrow biopsy and everything else that's associated with it. I will try it. So stay well and take care in the meantime. Bye bye.